Hey, how we doing?
I was all ready.
You were. I was all
And you were like,
counting.
oh no!
I was counting all oddball. I don't even know. I don't even know if we're actually going anywhere.
It's 3 minutes to 10 o'clock. I have an alarm that's going to go off. There's no way I can stop it.
Really? There's no way you can stop it? You can't like silence your phone?
Even on stuff
really?
and things, the alarms come through so that you don't accidentally silence your alarms. Like if I put it on vibrate,
yeah,
and I put it on do not disturb,
yeah,
the alarms still go off. So that like you wake up.
There's got to be some kind of a setting where you can turn it off. Just turn off the phone all the way. We can't possibly be disturbed. We have important Star Trekery to talk about.
Star Trekery.
All right, so we are up and running everywhere. I think it looks like that looks like YouTube where we're running, and this looks like the Twitch where we're running. And I'm going to tweet you out this link while you say, uh-oh.
Uh-oh?
Yeah, I can tweet it out. Well,
uh-oh.
yeah, I'm tweeting it out live.
Do it live.
All right, so.
First, I'm going to say spoilers.
Yes.
So if you didn't watch tonight's Star Trek Discovery, go now and watch. Because we're going to react. And we can't react without context. Hey, Terry, it's 10 o'clock. All right. Now we won't be disturbed. Because we were disturbed.
Spoilers.
Time is fluid.
Yeah, why is he experiencing time in not a straight line? Is it the prophets?
I guess once you... This is, I think, an interesting take on what would happen if you had clairvoyance. That your memories would then contain future information. And so, like, your mind would have to reconcile, is this a memory of something that has happened, or is this a memory of something that is yet to happen? And that contradiction, which isn't normal or part of our, like, hardwired experience, would cause conflict.
Okay.
And that's why...
So you're saying he's a precog now? I'm trying to get you lit up better.
I thought you said it was fine.
Well, I mean, it's reasonable.
It's fine.
But yeah, it is. For what we're doing tonight, these are instant reactions.
Instant reaction. I'm still glowing from karate earlier.
Oh, you're looking great. All right.
But yes. And so I think that's why his mind was suffering because of the deluge of future memories.
Yeah, there's a preview for next week's preview we got to talk about too. I'm glad that Ariam finally reveals herself as being the one that got Tyler in trouble. Probably reveals all that.
What is Ariam doing?
Yeah. What is Ariam doing? Choking.
But there's enough in this episode to react to. Don't react to the next episode. This episode,
always forward.
Spock is on Discovery. So Spock has stepped foot on Discovery. Finally.
And he said words.
And he spoke. Although it didn't look good in the beginning of this episode where he was mashing buttons on the thing. No, go into the black hole. Without any words, though.
Yes.
Banging on the console.
No, trust me, no nothing. At least he didn't Vulcan nerve pinch her.
Well, he needed her to do stuff.
What?
Get them there, and it's like he
did
things, and then he was like, like he
only had a little bit of wherewithal.
He could only like jump in there for a second.
I'll buy that.
So that was cool, and I loved the introduction they did to this episode.
It was fantastic.
That was really cool. I thought, look, some of you may be new to Star Trek, so here's this episode that happened in the 60s. Oh, it kind of happened to be the very first Star Trek ever made.
Yeah.
And some shit went down with Pike, so you should know these words. Vina, the plants sing, the Telosians can make projections. All right, you're good to go for this episode.
Yeah. We even had the Emperor complain about nuking the Terran version of the Telosians. Yeah, well, but the flowers too. She even complained about the singing flowers.
They're singing plants.
It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Anson Mount being able to play about how he felt about Vina, which helps explain more about why he was so driven to get back to Talos and why the Telosians wanted to help him get back to Talos in the episode The Menagerie from the original series. I do like this. This is wonderful. Look at this. Look at this tie-in.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Like, this is what we want our future. This is one of the things we definitely want our future Trek to do. Like, I want it to do new things like last season, and I want it to do old things like this season in a new way.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, all the things.
It's getting the all the thumbs up from you.
Yes.
There we go. Uh-oh.
I very much enjoyed that. I loved the first time Spock and Burnham actually spoke to each other. Like, that was so beautifully sibling. Like, this is what Vulcan siblings sound like. Well, and it was like, because it was rapid fire too. It was like, I can't think or say anything because I gotta listen because they're going ba 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 ba. And he's like, do you have any questions that would add anything to this conversation? She's like, do you think the beard works? Boom! Don't engage a human in this.
You're just happy because the sister got the better of the brother.
As is natural. That's normal. It was a good representation. Representation matters.
I think also maybe that was a secret shout out to the fans that were complaining that Spock with a beard, that's not canon. Rah, 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 rah. Oh yeah, but when she said that, it was like,
oh damn. And I also felt like the reveal of what she did to hurt him to get him to distance from her was good. Like, it was large enough that I could see where real hurt had happened, real damage.
Yeah, because he was so young.
Because he was so young.
Yeah.
But also small enough that it was clearly something between children. Like, it was a good
Yes,
combo.
I'm just glad we could put all that stuff to rest, that they were incestuous. Oh, yeah. That was a big thing. People were insisting. Yeah, well, I mean, come on. Rule 34. So
it was good.
And we got to see Vina.
Vina.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I like how they
gave her a little go-go dress.
Yeah,
little 1960s.
Well, it was updated a little bit,
but the style was clearly a go-go dress.
Well, because
mini
skirt, what else would they have? Now, all right, I need to step back for a minute, and I need to kibitz about the cage, the original episode. So they're on a ship. The humans are on a ship. They crash on Talos 4. The Talosians don't know how to put her back together, so they make their best bet. Gamble. Guess. That was the word I was looking for. Why didn't they just read her mind to know what she should have looked like?
I thought that as well.
See, it would have been...
When I first saw those episodes, it was like...
It would have been fine if she was, like, literally, like, just born and not really had memories of stuff and it was all weird and all. But she made it seem like she was, a crew member.
Oh, she said I was young.
Well, she said she was young, but in the end of the cage, when they de-age her, she's supposed to be, like, past or close to middle age. And they were there for like 18 years, right? 18 or 22 years.
Okay.
So that means she had to be around 20 or 15 when they crashed. She would have enough memories of what a human looks like in her noggin. Unless maybe, amnesia. And they couldn't access her memory. There we go. You figured it all out. Anyway, So, all right, now I have another question. You live on Vulcan, you're the ambassador. You're going to live close enough to a spot where one of your kids could leave the house and walk a little bit and get attacked by a big giant creature?
Yeah. I was like, what is that?
I mean...
Why do all these other planets have these giant land animals that can eat you in a bite?
We all right, yeah, there are places in this world where we have the same type of thing, where there's big animal
that can eat me in a bite.
Oh, a bite. All right. Well, no, because we
like,
kill all those
sort
ones
of like
off.
giant
hippopotami. Boom.
No, they still need to like
2 bites.
Well, but they bite
3.
you and drown you. And
How many bites does it take to get to the middle of a stay-at-home mom?
1, 2.
God, they're so weird. Sorry, everyone, but we're all tuned up tonight.
I mean, yeah, maybe they live on the equivalent. Maybe they live on the equivalent of Australia.
Oh, well then,
Maybe
there
they
you
live
go.
at Vulcan, Australia.
That's true. Yeah, we do.
That's all I can think of, because Australia will kill you.
Australia will kill you without
Although
even trying.
Australia is so awesome, they don't need giant animals, land roaming animals.
No, they got teeny tiny ones.
They got spiders and snakes.
They had the version of whatever was on that planet with Khan in Wrath of Khan. Those little things that crawl in your ears. That scene freaked me out so bad.
That is a defining scene in my childhood development.
Yeah,
like that is one of those things that seared itself into my psyche and was something I would just never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the scene in Poltergeist where the guy's face falls off into the sink. Just in case you need.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big Poltergeist fan. I'm not a big scary
I've seen
movie
Poltergeist
fan.
so many times. I think it was one of those that would play on like TBS or TNT, and it'd be like, "Oh, Poltergeist."
And they would show dude's face falling off on TBS
after 10 o'clock. Yeah.
What are you doing up after 10 o'clock?
Oh my gosh, I've always been up after 10 o'clock. I'm a night owl.
Anyway, all right. So, these two.
Oh yeah. God, Stamets.
Poor
Paul Stamets.
And Culber. Oh, I feel worse for Culber.
I can't.
But only nominally.
I'm about to say, like, I feel really bad for Culber, and I understand that but I could see the train wreck that was going to be Paul Stamets happening. Like, he was full speed ahead.
Well, I mean, I can fully give him leeway for acting how he did. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
really...
yeah. I mean, and that's what he said.
No one
like,
here did anything wrong except
like a
for
miracle. Yes,
Vogue.
except for clearly.
Let me tell you, that scene didn't go the way I thought it was going to go.
You didn't think Culber was just going to start knocking shit around?
No, I thought, like, to me, this looked like that they were in, like, in a private.
I was say I didn't think they were in a mess. I did not realize that was in public, and so that was surprising.
Yeah.
And then Saru let it go on, and I think my favorite line of ever is how Starfleet regulations didn't have anything about a human with a Klingon grafted to his bones fighting with a Starfleet doctor that had just been brought back from the dead. Like, that was glorious.
I did like that as well, except the only problem is that it's going to rekindle people that don't understand what happened to Vogue, because from that line, they don't understand what happened to Vogue. Because as a Klingon who had his physicality changed, and they laid Tyler on top.
Yes.
It is, yeah, and you said it the right way.
Literally, yeah, that's what they said. But like, they literally whittled a human out of a Klingon.
Yeah,
like that was basically what they did to Vogue to make him Tyler.
I just see an old Kailash
Scrimshaw, who was Klingon Scrimshaw,
on a little thing, all his white hair everywhere. But yeah, that scene definitely went different. But when I mean, you could see immediately when that scene was starting where it was going to go, and I was like, well, I'm here for this too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
This is fine.
And like when he said, I don't know who I am anymore, I'm like, you are talking to the right guy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I understand that 100%.
I said
what
it.
What the fuck am I?
I said it at the near the end of the fight. How great would it have been if they kissed right in front of Stamets? It would have been fantastic. It would have thrown everything into.
Paul would have been just confused.
Yeah, it was. Paul would have been like, "Oh, screw this!" And he just leaves, gets in the spore chamber, and just disappears. Oh, someone's here. Oh, I'm not a hardcore fan, but they show weird animals in the animated series. They do indeed show weird animals in the animated series.
There's weird animals in this
yesterday,
series.
Child Spock was nearly killed by a vicious desert creature. Oh, okay. She was referring. Sorry, we missed your comment there. You're supposed to keep an eye on that over there.
Over there?
Yeah, just whenever something pops in, just say, "Hey, look, we have a chat."
All right.
Alexandra, yes. Yes, I do remember that from the thing. And also, I just watched some video where they use the animated series to demonstrate that, and along with the 2009 movie, how Spock was picked on when he was a kid for being a half-breed. And now we know that also he
was dyslexic.
Yeah, well, space dyslexia.
No, he inherited it from someone from Earth. Like, he was actually dyslexic, which I think is...
Well, but it came from space because he was Vulcan, and it came from Earth to Vulcan. So from the Vulcan point of view, it was space dyslexia. Right.
I liked the introduction of a learning disability. I thought that was, representation matters.
All right. So rattle off something else while I type to our guest.
So yeah, Culber and Stamets. I don't know what will happen. Of course, what I hope to happen is that they'll separate for a time, and Stamets will mourn this, which is probably worse feeling than losing Culber the first time. And someone will help Culber like re-find his attachment to his humanity, to his identity. Like that's what he feels like. What it looks like to me is that
he's not feeling anything.
Is not feeling anything, and honestly, that could be part of his everything is brand new.
Yeah, it could be that he
because
needs to.
I think this is I think the bigger question they're going for is what makes up our identities. Mm-hmm. Is it our memories, or is it our physical experience? And I believe the answer is a combination of both. That our minds and our bodies are much more connected than sometimes people, give it. I just ended that. Acknowledge, and so I think that he's gonna, as time goes on, have to reconnect to some of that experience that he'd had. And I mean, honestly, I hope that they basically have to go through that. They do end up together, but they go through like another like wooing and like attraction. Like they have to go through the whole process again so that he can kind of reestablish that connection and make.
Yeah, we had too much happiness and joy a couple weeks ago when Culber came back. That they had to throw some drama.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, and that was the thing. Is like I knew all of those faces that Anthony Rapp was making for Stamets with all the crinkled brow Sunshine, and everything. It was like he was literally just like freight training towards this crash. Like you knew it was happening. Like Culber was giving all of the clues. It's
like the end of Back to the Future 3, where that train just goes right off the edge.
So it was completely, I knew what was coming, and it was still very sad because Stamets is I love that character because he was introduced to us as being this quick-witted, sarcastic cynic.
Yeah.
He seemed very stalwart different. And very like in control, but it is very much a facade that he has, because he really is the gooey one of the two of them. Even before Culber died, Culber was the heart and he was steadfast. He was the steady, like, this is our. And I think that something that he gave a clue to was that when Stamets said something like, you wouldn't believe how much personal time I have, and he was like, yeah, you were always in the lab, and you were like Stamets was
hung out at home.
Stamets was the genius. He was doing his genius things, and they're usually kind of erratic and don't have like that like day-to-day rhythm, and Culber probably provided that. So it's not surprising that Stamets was probably the more emotional one, even though Culber was the more in tune with like the arts and always trying to get Stamets to broaden his view. And I think he was kind of the heart of the relationship, which is why this is so thrown into a tizzy, because Stamets has no idea how to do that. That wasn't his role in the relationship. So
he's gonna have to look up some manuals, some science manuals, and figure out how to do the romance.
Can I give you rooms? Do spores work? That's all I know.
Hold on. This is a new one. Alexandra says she likes disco, but she likes it because it's not real Trek. She ended that with a laugh out loud, so it's okay. And she likes it, which is good. I partially like it for all the reasons hardcore fans hate it. Well, the first season, I can definitely understand their argument, because the first season was way different than any other Trek that we had before.
But I need to back up and just like, I can't,
Beep.
I don't know, condone the use of, and I think they usually do it, the hardcore fan tag. because I would say that Adam and I are just as hardcore as they are. Like, I've watched just as many episodes, and I've dived and thought about the characters, probably just as much as they have. But because there was something different about
Yeah.
this show, they were like, arms up in the air, and I would posit, and have before when we've talked, that the way that they treat characters and stories, even last season, was just as Trekkian as anything that had gone on before. And I just think that um
But the Klingons didn't have hair, honey.
yeah, I mean, they made cosmetic changes that were, and some
It's
of
all
them were
good.
annoying. It was like, but I mean, whatever. I think what I really like about Disco too is that there is a little bit of tongue in cheek and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't even mention, like, another favorite moment of this episode was when the Telosians were distracting Section 31, and Burnham turned to Spock and said, "Say goodbye, Spock," and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna do it!"
Yeah.
And he did the "Live long and prosper," and it was like, "Goodbye, Spock," and then they faded out, and I was like, "That's hilarious!" So there's a lot of that acknowledgement sometimes to I think the critics, and there's acknowledgement to the wide fan base. So the people who are hardcore have things that they can be hardcore about. Like, this episode was, I think, for the hardcore. Like, this was them literally plugging themselves into the original series timeline.
Yeah, I mean,
and saying, this is where we are
from that intro.
That like, here, like, previously on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Here's what's happened. They've been the Talos.
Yeah.
This is kind of what you need to know.
All
and
this
here
shit
we are
happened.
now. It's 3 years later. So I like, everyone's always gonna, there's always gonna be critics. There's always gonna be people who don't like everything. I mean, that's humanity for us. But I don't think that they're any more hardcore fans than the rest of us who really like it. I had a manual for the Next Generation prize. I had the technical manual.
Everyone had that book.
And I would sit and I would read it. And why? But I did. And so when in Generations they were going to crash that saucer section on there, I knew it could do. And I knew sitting in the theater that this was going to happen, and I could see the picture and the page it was on of that saucer section landing on a planet.
Yeah, how it went this side, and then this side, and this side. Yeah.
So hardcore.
Alexandra makes another good point. TNG was my intro to Trek, but also to sci-fi in general. At the time, I loved it, but I don't love it now. I enjoy it, but I don't miss it.
Okay.
And I can definitely see that, because that sci-fi didn't age well. Like the stories were good.
Like, when you go back and watch it.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I think that's true about all entertainment. I think that and I said this last season when like I'm in school. Last season when we would talk about the episodes for Discovery, that this is just an art form. Like, television really is just another art form. It's our modern art, and it doesn't age well in our lifespan, but then, in another 20 years we might go back and watch the TNG, and we will be able to pick out the things that made it original to us then, and that you can point back to. And that's what they do with art. Like, art historians, there's a whole genre of people who just look at paintings from hundreds and thousands of years. And I mean, while the Egyptian paintings haven't aged well in that, like, they didn't know how to draw a body facing forward, they played a role. And so I think that all these iterations of Star Trek have played a role in helping move science fiction forward. I mean, the original Star Trek clearly did. And I mean, it's something that really was set out in this episode, where they showed us scenes from that original pilot of when they were on Talos, and the singing plants were plastic blue leaves being shaken,
Yeah.
And then we went back to Talos with Discovery, and they were CGI, and they were opening, and they had flowery parts, but we knew those were the same plants, and so our technology gets better to make our art better, but it still has the same heart in it. And TNG was also my introduction. Like, and when it started, I was 7, and that was, I mean, I had been exposed to other science fiction because my dad was a big sci-fi guy, and but that was like my introduction into Star Trek, and so it always holds a nostalgic place in my heart, and I will still sometimes go back and watch an episode or two. But yeah, sometimes I watch it and it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
those uniforms, especially the One Piece Lycra ones. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it doesn't age well in some ways, but it had to be there for Discovery to be there here now.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna need to get on the Expanse, because that's one of the one I asked Alexandra what she likes, and I can tell that like she's
I really
a
wanna watch it.
more darker sci-fi liker, I think. But and she called out BSG as one of her
yeah, that
favorites.
was another groundbreaking, and that came. I read a book about it and why it was a show we needed to see at that time, because it was post 9/11, so it was early 2000s, and what we asked of our science fiction changed as the millennium changed, and as that tragedy happened, we started to ask for more realism, and so that's why shows like TNG look so what's the word I'm looking for?
Pristine
Is exactly the thing, because we in TNG we are to believe, and we're being told right now, that there was always a Section 31 behind the scenes, but we didn't want to know that or see it when we were watching TNG. And now, you know, we are all, I think, a more mature society, and you know, we know that there's a lot of gritty that goes behind, and that's what they said, I guess, a couple episodes ago about, you know, nation building and civilization building, is that it can't all happen in a pristine kind of antiseptic environment. And so yeah, I do like the darker stuff sometimes. I went through a whole phase of reading post-apocalyptic stories, because that just, like, I loved the, like, I don't know, it makes me think about, you know, what we're doing and how it can drastically change our lives, and, you know, what the other side of that would look like. So yeah, no, we've heard a lot of good stuff about the Expanse. I know we do need to eventually.
I bet Alexandra's going to be all up for the Section 31 show coming in 2020. I think it's 2020. What year are we in now? 2019?
Yes,
yeah,
that would be next year.
Yeah, 2020. Georgiou is supposed to get her own show, which she's obviously lining up right now. Poor Leland. he's gonna get found dead somewhere. I wonder where he's gonna get found dead at.
I like Georgiou in the context of what she's at now, because she's a wild card. We don't know, and you pointed out earlier today that she has information from the Defiant, which is in the future of Discovery right now, in Discovery's timeline.
Oh, she's stealing my tidbit.
Well, because we were talking about Georgiou, so you know, being the Terran Emperor, she would have had unlimited access to all the information that Defiant had brought into her universe, and so as soon as she pops back into this universe, sees what time it is, she could be like, haha, like, now she has she has like 13, 18 years of information, that, you know, of future information. So apparently it's not driving her crazy like Fox future.
Well, no, because she read it out of a book. She didn't experience it.
It didn't happen in her memory. So I like her in this kind of wild card, what's going to happen, but I don't know about an entire show with her. And I love Michelle Yeoh, but
I've seen enough examples of her softening up now that she's in this universe, like when she was making goo eyes at the Klingon baby, and the reactions that they had between her and Michael when she got punched in the gut. She's, oh, not too bad. and the reaction she gave when she shot Burnham, and she was like, I'm like, I gotta do something here.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't know.
Well,
I feel like because there's mystery to her now, that's why she's intriguing, and having her on screen as much as having her own show would put her in would start to soften to.
Yeah. She mentions that she sees her as more of an anti-hero and not a villain.
Yes, definitely. I definitely agree. Yeah, like I definitely see her. I mean, she's obviously I think working toward Burnham and Spock's
best
interests.
I think that at this point too, but also I can't see them doing a Star Trek show based on a villain. So that's why I think that they are going to take her to the root of the anti-hero, which is cool.
Yeah. I think she's much more of a Punisher than a villain. But yeah.
Well, Punisher is way on the like. He's
still an anti-hero. His motives were almost always,
yeah, but
just for justice. They were almost always justified.
Yeah, but it was justice for him. Watch this. I'm going to make
exactly, and everything she does, while they have other people's interests at heart, she's also using it as a springboard to get her into position. Like she used all of this thing to take Leland out.
Oh, he's not out yet.
I assume
he can explain his way out of stuff.
Oh man, Leland Jenkins.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there's going to be some point where that's going to happen. Look, and Alexandra made your day. The Expanse is based on books.
Ooh.
Yeah, my wife loves
reading and watching.
Yeah.
Comparing.
All right. So we did a lot of babbling about all different kind of stuff here.
It was good.
Was
we
there
had someone interacting, and I like it.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you for coming around. Theoretically, every Thursday night after we watch, we're gonna hop on here, do a little bit. But tonight ended up being more than about a half hour. All right, that's cool. Instant reactions to this past week's episode, and Tuesdays is when we come on for about an hour and do a deep dive and talk more about all the different things we figured out since last week, and after we've watched the episode again and been able to sit with it for a little bit, talk about it. So please feel free to come back. And I'm also been doing some more stuff on Twitch lately, but I'm not supposed to say that on YouTube because they're angry about such things. But it's Adam of Geekheim over there on Twitch also, where I do... Oh, no, today I did do the preview thing on YouTube as well. I try and get people hyped up for the episode. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, everyone. Was there anything else about the show we needed to cover? Because I don't feel like we talked about the actual show enough. We meandered all over the place.
Yeah, we talked about their childhood memory. We talked about Spock experiencing time fluidly and why that might be. We talked about Anson Mount's Trail of Pike and Vina. We talked about everything. Yeah, we got it. Stamets and Culber. Boomity boom boom boom. Check.
Yeah. All right. Just saying goodbye to Alexandra. She since she doesn't worship classic Trek, it's difficult to engage with people about the show. So I made sure that she knows that she's definitely welcome here. Well, because
the thing is, like, I don't worship anything.
Well, she wasn't saying nothing against us. It was that the rest of the universe.
I'm hoping that's why it's a comfortable place to do that, because I appreciate it for what it is in the context of our modern art, and I really am appreciating Discovery because it's in Star Trek universe, which I love, yes. But their characters and their representation of the characters, like the actors, are so well thought out, and I think that they are evolving. They evolve very, very realistically. And there was something a couple of weeks ago that happened, and the person's reaction was great because it's how it would happen.
Do you remember what?
No,
because that would be useful here in this conversation.
Film, so I can go back and watch it. It was either in Evolved Ganglia or in a reaction, and it was very good because in a normal universe. Or in a normal, and I know I draw the comparisons to CW because we watched a lot of their Marvel shows on there, and they like to drum up they like to drum up drama for drama's sake. Like, you know, when someone, it looks like a relationship should be resolved about something, and then it comes back around, and something new happens, and then they dredge up the past, and like, it's like when you did this before.
Yeah, we're gonna give characters a more wide berth for drama when one of them comes back from the dead.
Well, yes, they should be dramatic then. But there was another reaction to something that it was I think appropriate. It was appropriate for how someone would process something. They really do kind of stick to how we as humans go through grief and go through, you know, shock, and I appreciate that. I think that it is very realistic, and I love science fiction shows that do that well, because while the setting is different, the humanity is the same. So we are going to react. We have been reacting this way for thousands of years. I do not think that our hardwired basicness has changed that much, and
not in a little over 200 years.
Well, yes, and then
it annoys me that we're that close. Like, this need to be spaced out way further. Gene Roddenberry was a little pie-eyed about how things were going to go.
Well, I mean, I don't know if pie-eyed is the word. Right now, we should be having World War III.
Well, yeah.
At the moment, it hasn't happened.
All right, that's true. Well,
so I mean,
yeah, all right. But
he knew that to get to that utopia, it was
we needed World War III. So that means we're never getting to utopia. Yay! Anyway, all right. Well, glad you stopped by, Alexandra. Yeah. Hopefully you check in every week, because she liked how it complimented her watching of the episode.
Excellent.
She said that's what we're shooting for here.
Yes.
So spread the word. We're on the Twitters also. If you're on the Twitters, Adam of Geekheim, just like up there. And she is
Sci-Fi Christina.
And we'll be back here Tuesday at about 9:30. And yeah, we'll probably be back before that, but I don't know what about.
We're going to watch Captain Marvel this weekend.
Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah, we got to give some reactions to that.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to be shooting more gardening videos. So sorry if you're not into gardening, anyone out there that's watching this right now. I'll be sure to title them appropriately so you know to avoid them.
There be plants here.
All right, cool. All right, bye everyone, and come on, sign off the right way. Do it. Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, what was the right way?
Well, because we're doing the Star Trek thing, we got to do the live long and prosper. But you're right. The bye is more our thing. All right. All right, do the bye.
And then run off the rails.
Do the bye. Do the bye.
Bye.